say what we're going to talk about. And
Okay.
Right, hold on, wait until I'm out the road, but that's it going.
Yeah, so that's film to be cut. So anyhow, so that's where she's gone. Okay, so we're kind of back in the garage. We thought we would do a little quick presentation on Ted's previous boots, my previous boots, the pros and the cons to the boots that we're using this year. So I'm going to let Ted start this out by telling you about the two boots that he's been using for the last two seasons and what features they had and what features the new ones have and what he likes about them.
Okay.
Ted's up.
Got these. This is a Adidas Samba. It's a lace-up boot. I got these. They recommended to me by some other boarders because I wanted a strong boot because I knew I was going to be on it a lot. Set them up in the summer. You know, heat molded them. They only have this small, no ankle strap up here, no shin strap, and it's a pull-up lace here for the internal boot. My normal boots were both lace-ups, and I really liked them. These were recommended because they were outer size lace-up, larger toe cap, so I could, you know, have room to mess around with my foot. I would put in my own orthopedic insert. They had a good bit of stiffness, and it changed my ride, but there's still a bit of movement forward. I only spent about one season in these, so they might have 80 rides on them, so it didn't break in all that bad. What happened was over the summer I broke some fingers, and I couldn't lace up both laces. It's too much work, so I went out and looked for a boa system. This is Intuition 32, yeah, and has a side boa and a front boa and an inside strap pull up for that inside liner. And this liner has got that shin strap on here. So these snug up very nicely. They work out very finely with the bindings I'm wearing. And what I have found is there is a very slight adjustment left and right. So when your foot sits down, how directly does your knee come up, or does it come up at a tilt, or come up, and that affects my knees. These had to be adjusted in the bindings, and now everything's fine. You know, all of the damages that I have, we've got them managed. We've got them in the right place. I can move them around without pain, and I can direct my snowboard. So I'm pretty much a happy camper.
So those are the boots.
Those are my two boots.
I will tell you, and I don't know if you can see it, but on his original Adidas boot, the snow cap area is a little bit wide in here. Ted's foot's kind of narrow, so he had a little bit of side-to-side play in here, but they were comfortable. If you look at the toe cap on this boot, it's much narrower, it fits his foot better. Now, also he called these something, these are actually power straps that are up at the top of the boot. What that does is gives you better shin contact. So I'm going to take this right here, which is a liner, which came out of one of my two boots. And my boots are Flow Nidecker type boots. The thing we like about the boots that we have are these are higher end boots. They're not your rental boots. They're not your low end boots. So the main thing is that on the rental boot, most of your pull straps are in the front. And usually the sliding locks that are on them, that Ted showed you on these boots here, these slide down locks that you pull down on a rental boot, don't lock well down here. Subsequently, as you're riding during the day, they loosen up and the flex does not stay tight against the shin. So here we have the power strap, and on these particular boots, and on Ted's too, he didn't put the internal, we have an external ankle support and foot bottom. That also aids to good shin contact, heel held well in place and everything like that. In addition, I don't go with the footbeds that are inside these boots because they're not strong enough. I go to an external thing. I think these are called Sole. There are many different brands, but the good part is that the rise underfoot here because I have a flat arch, pushes my foot up. While it pushes my foot up, it pulls my toes back so I don't bump. If this was not in here and I had a stock pad and it was flat, my toes would expand and hit the front of the boot. So putting a better insert in there helps to align flat arches, pull you up, pull the toes back, stops the toe bang. And the result of that is a blackened big toe. So that's not a lot of fun. So I guess what we're getting at is, and we'll take a look at my two boots here. This is the boot that I rode last year and the year before. And if you look at the side right here, you'll see that there's a cutout area here, right in here. That's to allow the boot to flex more in this position. This is still a fairly stick shell, but when it flexes down, and I can't really show that, the boot will spread through this area here. It means that I'm losing energy from the boot to the board. Also, if I take this boot, hold it here, you'll see that the forward lean on this boot is a little bit this way, just like a ski boot. I take the new boot that I'm riding this year, which has all the same components, but no cutout in this area here, no collapsing. And when I press and bend the boot, and it's hard to bend it, with my body weight of 200 pounds, the boot does flex. What happens is the boot doesn't spread from here to here. The boot stays solid. So that's a good thing. But if you also look at the back here, in the high back area, I don't have as much forward lean, which means when I go into a binding, that I get full flush contact back here, particularly with the Burton Cartel binding, which I found to be a little bit tricky to set up. But once it's set up, you can transfer your energy as well. So that's part of the issue there. And I'll demonstrate that a little bit more by taking these two sticks. And I hope that this will show you the different angles that our boots are set at. So if I ran down here with the eternal boot in, and maybe I move over a little bit. Anyhow,
You want to come this way?
let's move these two, and I'll come to the middle of the table. Yeah, all right. I move to the middle of the table so the camera can pick this up. You can see that the forward boot has more forward lean through these sticks than my other boot. So that means that I have to adjust the high backs on my binding effectively enough to ride up the back of this boot so that I have contact when I pull back. But with the Burton Cartel, I was only hitting the boot here. Take this boot away, and I'm now hitting the boot all the way through the back stay of the boot. And that's an important issue. So from steerage and power to the heel side. So those basically are our boots, and those are the pros and cons. So we're going to touch on one more thing, because Ted and I were talking about it. When you start snowboarding and you buy your equipment, the most important part is your boot. It has to be comfortable, it has to fit well. Next step is, what binding are you going to use? And does the binding have enough capability to adjust for all the angles that we're dealing with? We're not like a skier, where we step into the binding and snap our heel down and we're set and ready to go. Snowboard boots and bindings are a very complex piece of the equipment. They have so many different moving parts to adjust, to align across the board, to align fore and aft on the board, that it's complex. When you start out snowboarding with the equipment you have just begun your journey of shredding. And you have just begun, hopefully, your exploration of how I get the best fit to get the best performance for the deal I want to play with. So that's all we got to say on that. We hope that this is helpful. Realize that the boots we're riding are the higher end. You may want a softer boot if you're starting out. As you start to get stronger, that boot may be too flexible, and may pack out really fast. Those are things you'll have to figure out through the use of your equipment. Never just put it on and ride for 3 or 4 years and say, I got it, because you don't. It's like buying a standard car and you don't know all the features in it yet. Your journey is just beginning. So from us, subscribe, hit the like button, comment if you agree with us or you disagree with us, whatever, we don't mind. Talk to us. We want to hear from you guys. So other than that, we're out.
Send snow.
Later.
Okay. Anything else you want to cover?
Nope, I think that was that.
Okay.
See what we get though.